Hello, everyone. Welcome to Noor's IG Live, the very first one that we do. My name is Ana Belenda. I am one of the lead organizers at Noor. I am based in Montevideo, in Uruguay. And as you know, Noor is a think and do tank devoted to advancing gender justice and obstructing the far right. Today, I'm going to be joined by two amazing feminist researchers, writers, translators that have written the report that we want to launch today, that you can also find in our website. It's called, I have a physical copy here, In the Shadows of Hate, Trends, and Strategies of Fascist Fundamentalisms Across Regions. You can find the link in our bio to download it. So I would normally speak in Spanish. Actually, that's my mother tongue, but because Instagram Live does not have interpretation yet, we're doing this in English. And also feel free to put in the comments from where you're joining, and also feel free to ask comments, questions, feedback. Also, this is a time to interact with people that are following us and that would be curious to know about the report. So let me first disclose that one of the authors is sitting right next to me. This is Alejandra Sardá. You can say hi, Ale.
Hello.
So Alejandra Sardá, she's originally from Argentina, right? But living in Uruguay. You're already getting a lot of love out of people and saying hi. Yes, and let me invite the other author of the report, that's Bonilla. Just bear with me a second as I invite Lu. Yes. Hi, Lou. If you are listening to us, we're inviting you to our IG Live. So a little bit of the report while we wait for Lou to join. So the report, as I said, it actually looks at the global trends and strategies of fascist fundamentalisms. We'll see in a minute why we decided to call this for those words instead of using anti-gender and anti-rights movements that many people have been using. And it looks at who are the actors in the fascist fundamentalism's galaxy, looking also at key trends that you wouldn't normally find in reports that look usually at the impacts. And also the report really beautifully puts some ideas in terms of counter strategies that could be working. Oh, so because here also, let me invite, because I was not sure if we would have a co-host, and my colleague is here. Let me see if she can join. Hey, okay. Oh, people are joining.
Hi.
Oh, Samika. Oh my God, are you in an airport or somewhere?
I'm outside, but it is so lovely to be. Thank you so much, Ali, for agreeing to do this.
Yes, we're here. We're also waiting for Lucía to join. Let me invite her again. She can join. Samika, if you want to introduce yourself for a little bit. And also, Lucía, hi!
Hi.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Hola. Hi. Sorry for the delay. It's the first time I am joining an Instagram live.
Thanks for us. It's the same. It's the first IG live for the whole of Noor. So yeah. Okay, so maybe if you want to introduce yourself a little bit, Lu.
Yes. Well, my name is Lucía Bonilla. I am from Guatemala, currently living in New York for my PhD. And I have worked with social movements as well as being part of research teams. So this imbrication between activism and academia is like very central to my formation and my life.
Lovely. Thank you so much for joining. And I can see you're all wrapped up in a very cold New York morning. So thank you for joining.
Yeah, actually Alejandra gave me this first.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy and proud to show her how it looks.
Awesome. So Vika, do you want to introduce yourself and also tell us if you can really join us for a while, or do you need to dash?
Sorry for the noise in the background. Hi everyone, I am Sabita and I am here on mute.
You're in the middle of commuting and a train just passed? Yeah. Okay. For sure. No pressure. I know how it is, and also the connection, but might not be great. But this was supposed to be like a little couch conversation. We're literally sitting in a couch here in Uruguay. And so, yeah, before you joined, Lu, I was already telling a little bit about the report that you co-wrote with Ale. And so we wanted to use this moment to speak a little bit about it, because there are many things that I think are a bit new or unusual to other reports that at basically the impacts of fascist fundamentalisms across regions. So actually my first question would be maybe to you, Ale. First of all, why talk about fascist fundamentalisms? And as we said, not anti-rights and anti-gender. Why?
Well, no, all terms are good. We don't think that any of these terms are wrong or bad, but we think that this is a moment in which we have to be very bold and very clear, because so is the enemy. The enemy has no fear, has no shame. They say everything they think, and they say clearly and loudly, and we think we need to do the same. So when we call them fascists, somehow it's a bolder statement. And of course, the fundamentalism, it's in their origins, fundamental origins. It is in their history, and it's something that sometimes remains hidden, but is still always there. And in many contexts, it's a very heavy, it's not, because sometimes one may think in this capitalist world, okay, that's something of the past. No, it's something of the present. So we wanted to be very bold and to highlight these two dimensions. I don't know if this is enough or anything. Do you want to add anything, Lucia? Or?
Yeah, I just completely agree on how this is a political decision, and to think also how this term will also allow us to build further synergies and collaboration into bringing people who have specific struggles, who might see how all the struggles intersect and connect in a certain moment and a certain context. So I think that would be like a also way of framing it, the use of the language to build collaboration, and also to point out that fascist and fundamentalist movements are a way of relating, right? To the way that we understand them is a way of how there is a relation that is organizing life through relations of dispossession, exploitation, economic and cultural dominance of a few, right? So I think that's part of the reasons why we chose to stay with that category, although it also encompasses others such as anti-rights and anti-gender.
Thank you, Lucia. And as you mentioned, I mean, some of the actors that the report mentions that you say, okay, there's a particular galaxy of fascist fundamentalisms, and you choose a very helpful categorization for the different actors. Can you tell us a little bit more about why you chose that and what would those be?
Yes, I think the the actors that we're mentioning here feels like the most accurate to try to have a broad idea of how they work, how they are organized, and of course they're not like solid. They can be, one can have more than one function within this galaxy, but we start with kind of what will be the base, that is the financiers and the strategies. That is where the money is coming from, either from corporations or from individual people, from all type of financiers that will support this fascist and fundamentalist projects, and that also form part of the building of a strategy, right? This part in which all those global scale connections are being founded, and that where they rise and where they organize. And then how all that strategy gets incorporated into the discourses of what we call in the report the luminaries, which are like we understand as these characters that are like very, very outspoken, characters that are very visible, and that are basically this referential face of the fascist and the fundamentalist movements, right? So just Narendra Modi or Nayib Bukele, to name a few, right? We then have another level that we understand as the implementers. So on the one side, there is there is the face of the FS, and then who implements these strategies. That again is not necessarily separated from the others, but it is also different in the way that it also encompasses society organizations, political parties, foundations, also influencers that use the social media to carry on this project, these strategies that have been thought and financed. And finally, we talk about the believers, right, which is a very important part, because even if there is a lot of economic mobilization, if they have if they can accrue resources, all that mobilization of resources will become empty if there is not a mass of people supporting and following these ideas, right? So the believers are the people who have been shaped by those strategies and those discourses, and who are willing to accept the implementation of such a project, and to accept a specific logic of relating through those violences and through those dynamics of domination.
Thank you so much, Lucia. Maybe I could turn over to you, Aled, for the specific strategies. And Lucia was already mentioning some that have to do with control of the media, and this particular trend that has to do with disinformation, and playing around the emotions of producing, fear, anger, etc. Why did you choose to feature that as one of the key trends and strategies, and why do you think it's so important?
And this is a more general thing, but we felt that we wanted, because there is a lot of excellent literature already on this topic, and done by some of the people who may be watching us, and there is a lot of work, brilliant work already done. So we tried to quote that, but not to stay only with that. So we wanted to focus on some more subjective things, if you want, to the things that really allow this to happen. And that's why, because we think that there is something, when you are afraid, when you see the world as your enemy, you are very vulnerable. It's very easy to manipulate you, because in fear we just, it's like our instincts come to the surface, and you try to protect yourself and the people you love, and then you will do anything to destroy, to eliminate that enemy that somebody has made you believe is your enemy. And we think this is so powerful. It's more powerful than anything else. It's more powerful than money. Of course, it is done through money. You have to have lots of money to do this, but the power of this is really strong. So we wanted to highlight that. And of course, the disinformation is because, and I know I am stepping a bit into the impact, but we think that one of the biggest problems we have is that these people, what is called the common sense, the social imaginary, is dictated by them right now. If you talk to anybody in the street, that person will tell you anywhere in the world 3 or 4 things that are actually part of the discourse of these people, are things that they believe, and that person is not necessarily a terrible fascist wanting to kill everybody. It's an ordinary person who most probably will have compassion and will be a good person, but believes certain things, certain tenets. And this is what they achieve through this information. Of course, we know the money they have, but also we wanted to highlight the fact that we are all the time hyper-stimulated. Does it exist in English?
Yes.
And we are all the time with 1,000 million things in the phone, and this creates the mental state that allows all this to, and we do this in our own movements. Just to give you a small example, and I promise to shut up, but we are doing a workshop in the coming days, me with some friends, in a context where safety is a serious concern. We ask people to leave their rooms, their phones out of the room. They refuse because they feel they cannot lose contact. So in between safety or checking your Instagram, people chose to check their Instagram. And so we are, no? So we are very easy prey. Sorry, I maybe went all over the place. But...
Yeah. And related to that, I think that, as you also mentioned in the report, it's very difficult to cut through the noise and really see, the political projects that are behind the spreading of misinformation and hate. And I wanted to ask around another strategy that you mentioned in the report. Maybe this is a question for you, Lucía, around this ability to generate a strong us, and at the same time a very clear them, the other that must be destroyed. Can you give a few examples that maybe are included in the report, and how do you see that strategy is often very hard to cut through, or that our strategies from social movements, we are having difficulty in trying to come up with a counter narrative that is not just saying, okay, this is not true. Yeah.
Yes, I think it's been vital for that. It's very important for that division to take place, that differentiation between a place of safety and another place of permanent threat, in the sense that there is people that are permanently considered, and also not only people, but also forms of life that are considered a threat. And it needs to be sedimented, that illusion within the part of believers that keep the fundamentalist and fascist movements going. So one of the examples that we mentioned in the report of this building a strong us is the RSS in India, right? How these imaginaries of religious nationalism had sedimented a differentiation between Muslims and Christians and Hindu, right? So how that gains strength to the point that in the present moment there is billions of people advocating for that ideology and believing in that ideology and rooting for that to become the prevalent system of belief of the people, which is a system of exclusion, right? So I think like that's one of those examples, but also we can also add examples around sexuality, right? How there is the category of normalcy and the category of pathological bodies. So that form of binary differentiation keeps the logics of fundamentalism and fascism going, and it also allows for that emotional dimension that Alejandra was speaking to sediment, because that's where the feelings of hatred, the feelings of rejection, but also fear, anxieties that are coming entangled to keep that hierarchy and that differentiation firm and steady.
Thank you so much. It's very true. Anything you want to add around this idea of emotions? No.
All has been said, and very well.
Yeah. Also, this year is very. I mean, I think more than half of the population went to elections this year, with some of it very clear. Today we're sitting in Uruguay the day after an elections where the left has won. So this is like a little pocket of hope. But I have to say also that this playing around disinformation, hate, and an emotion of an enemy. I mean, one of the slogans was a nation without the left, and so this was was very much used as an us versus them kind of narrative. And I think other than denouncing it and saying, are you saying like half of the population will not be part of your idea of nation?
Yes.
I think it was very difficult, right, at the narrative level to say like, what the hell, right? So yeah, this is super important to bring in. So jumping a little bit to the impacts, because as you said, there are many reports that document, for example, the rollback against sexual and reproductive health and rights, LGBTQI plus rights, and you chose to focus on other spaces of those impacts that I thought was really interesting, in particular around democracy and what we understand as a democratic society. Can you speak a little bit about why you chose those impacts? And even if you have conflicted ideas around the notion of democracy.
No, it was very funny because this is a part of the report that we were afraid that Noor will reject. And I remember Lucía checking with me, and we were all like, okay, this is what we think. So, okay, and this is also important because the way we wrote this report, not as a Bible or as a Quran or as a, no, it's something that people can totally disagree with and say, no, this is shit. But we believe right now in the power of saying something clear, concrete, and taking position. Okay, this is my position, which doesn't mean it's the revealed truth, but please disagree, contradict. But if I don't have a clear position, if I try to which is what many expressions of the left or center left are doing today. If I try to be in a good position with everybody, you cannot even disagree with me. You cannot even agree with me. So we did that. So yes, we are a bit skeptical and critical of democracy because in this part of we are both from Latin America and we see the failure and we see the vulnerability. And these people manipulate it like anything in the world. No, the fact that people are elected by the majority vote, which is a good thing in principle, but then when your majority is manipulated, second after second, with misinformation, and your majority will elect what the majority elected in my country of ours, in Argentina. Completely democratic process, clean elections. And so we need to be able, and I think in this state we need to say, okay, this tool is fantastic, we love it. Is it working for this world? Because these are tools that were designed for another world. And also we know that democracy has not solved any of the real material inequalities that are behind many people going to. Lucía was talking a while ago about the us and them. Well, that is also built when you give people food, when you give people a possibility to have access to health, things that democracy has not done. And groups like us, like queer people, have been manipulated by some so-called democracies terribly in the sense that some of our rights have been recognized for us, and that is seen as we are a fantastic democracy because we recognize it, right? But while at the same time, you are destroying the environment, you are expelling indigenous people from their land, you are not redistributing wealth in such a way that most people can live with dignity. And these are the problems that we need to face, like it or not. Because otherwise, these people will continue manipulating and will continue using these fantastic tools of the 20th century or because in the 21st century, some of our brilliant tools are actually traps. And we are sorry, we've seen this, and you may totally disagree, but we wanted to say this.
Yeah. Anything you want to add to that, Lucía?
No, just that I'm glad that you brought that conversation, Alejandra, on how it was a decision that we made together, that it was happy to find that we have common grounds, and that it was also the base of further conversation also with the Noor team, right, through the comments to the report, and that I think that we were able to bring up some ideas that, as you said, can be contested, and also to invite us to think further and to think deeper on how the FFs work. How have we also, as the opposition, created these places of that become kind of like a barrier to thinking further and more creatively. And so I think that's one impact that was very important. And to say also how the impacts that we have set up in the report are also overlapping, right? To move away from this also very binary, very colonial way of thinking that there are spheres of life that are separated from each other, but they connect. That when we think of a failure of democracy, we also see the impact in what you were saying, Alejandra, about the expulsion of indigenous peoples. We also see how it affects organized activisms as well, how it debilitates social movements, it debilitates the labor sphere. So just to see how those overlapping things are there, and how trying to think from this perspective may help us to think also in disagreement, but also to build something else, something new.
Exactly. And my next question or last question is exactly how do we build the counter strategy, the transformations that we need and have? So I think there has to be some offer, in terms of hope, that I think the report very well puts it. What do you think are some of the counter strategies that you think are working? And maybe the fact that we are sitting today in this context is one, in terms of a unified front, etc. But I think there are others that the report really brings up that are really good in terms of countering misinformation, for example, and very harmful narratives that are spreading.
We are in a terrible moment in the world, because a lot of things that we believe that were useful, and a lot of strategies that, like people like me, who are old, things that we have been doing all our lives, they are good for nothing. And for me, this is the first thing: drop. Just be bold enough and say, okay, we did this for 20 years. Is it okay for this world? No, leave it open, because then you clean. It's like your cupboard, no? You remove the things you are not using, and you clear a space for something new. And some things are old and have been done, and they are still good. Like, for instance, how do you break, one way to break this information, which is very difficult, and it's like handicraft. But when you bring people together, when you bring people together, it's harder to sustain the bias. And there are millions of things that are being done in the world. Lots of groups and organizations. We have some feline guests here. There are lots of people working simply to bring people together, to show the humanity. That seems very hippie. No, it isn't. Because it's harder. No, I may believe a lot of things about mothers. They don't talk about their children. They are the patriarchy. And I talk to Anna, who's a mother, and if I live with her every day, then even I will end up playing with the babies. I don't know. No, it seems stupid and naive, but this is one. And the other thing is what Lucía was saying a while ago. We have lost the capacity to dream. We have lost the capacity to speak on our own terms. Now, if you take any of our organizations, the proportion between reactive, defensive work versus propositional, creative, moving forward work is, I don't know, 80 to 20 if we are lucky, or 90 to 10, or 99 to 1. We have to stop and say, okay, what do we want to? Yes, we know how horrible the enemy is. Now, what do we propose? Because we have very few proposals, very few. We have more reaction than proposal. And I know this may seem abstract, but that's another one. And then the building the strongness. Another impact of these people is fragmentation. We fight each other to death over anything and everything. And even we were talking elections. The beauty of this country, Uruguay, and I want to be very, I love this place and I'm so grateful that they welcome me. Uruguay has a coalition of the left that, with ups and downs and a thousand criticism, is unique in the Latin American context and has survived for many, many years. Sometimes you can lose an election, but if you are 20 parties, you will lose also. And this is just talking elections. The same happened with the women's movement, feminist movement, LGBT movement, anything, name it. So this is another thing. I stop here. So give room for Lucía if she wants to add anything.
Yeah, do you want to? No, I think this is really good. Like avoiding fragmentation, one of the key counter strategies or the first step towards. Yeah, anything you want to add around some of the possible counter strategies that are mentioned in the report, Lucía?
Yes, I think something that I have learned from social movements in Latin America, which are spaces that I have shared with Alejandra in the past, and who is one of the biggest professors of my life as well, is precisely how can we foster social movements that are based upon care of responsibility from one to another, and moving away from those very superficial ways of relating that have been imposed upon us by precisely these fundamentalist and fascist movements, right? How this form of relating that is very visible sometimes in the ways in which policies are made, but are also sometimes moving within our subjectivities without ourselves even noticing that we may have lost the capacity to relate from a place of profound care from each other, and how that has often debilitated our capacity to respond, right? So I think something that I have been very moved by through activisms in Latin America, and I'm sure other parts of the world that's happening as well, is just striving for other forms of relationships, for other ways of connections, that building those circuits that allow us to come together one with another in radically different ways, and that hopefully will erode the language of the hegemony, right? That it will allow us to debilitate their language and to work together as a front that will allow us to make all these very sometimes feels like ephemeral moments of opposition to make it into a more stable, sustained in time movement against these forms of violence.
Absolutely. Any final thoughts before we break?
I think also we have lost our creativity. No, we speak in jargon, we use the same old formulas, and sometimes we use their concepts, their categories, and their words, and I include corporates here because for me corporates are not our friends. Sorry if I don't think any corporate person will be listening, but they are not really friends. And all that doesn't in that terrain they win. So we have to surprise. We have to say things that nobody would expect us to say. No, the same old, in the same old way, in the same old way. Be creative, and we have our movements have a lot of brilliant, creative people. Do the unexpected. Easy for me to say.
It's great to end this with think of the unexpected. Yeah. Any final words from you, Lou? Final thoughts around this? I think, yeah, like the report is also a really great tool, in particular for activists. But yeah, also, I mean, for the general public to get a sense of what are the key trends and what is being done. Yeah, to counter those. Any final thoughts?
Well, I agree that closing with this idea of bringing up the unexpected is a beautiful way to close, and I will stick to that, and just precisely adding how we're still in a point of imagining what can be possible, what worlds we want to live in, and to bringing that into our vocabularies and into our everyday resistance, I think through unexpected is more likely to flourish than keeping into what Alejandra was saying of that corporative way of managing life and managing social movements and managing our opposition. So yeah, I love that idea of closing with the unexpected.
Thank you, same. Well, thank you so much to both the authors of our report. Again, if you're joining late, this is In the Shadows of Hate, Trends and Strategies of Fascist Fundamentalisms Across Region. You can find it online in the link in our bio. And if you're lucky to go to the AWID Forum from the 2nd to the 5th of December, we'll be bringing a few physical copies as well. And we'll also be hosting a session with partners. Partners in Fos Feminista and IPAS. We're doing an hour and a half session around fascist and fundamentalisms in the context of elections this year. And of course, there will be other opportunities to join conversations, informal and more formal, at Noor. So keep in tune, and thank you so much to both the authors. Thank you, Ale. Thank you, Lucía, for joining. And yeah, the people who lost the live, I think that we'll be able to publish it very soon in our Instagram account. So thank you so much.
Can we say Viva Uruguay? Let us celebrate one election that
this day. Let's see in 5 years what we can say. But yes.
Yeah, congratulations. I will also celebrate with you from here.
Thank you, Lu. All the best. I know you're in the belly of the beast right now, so sending you love your way as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Ana Alejandra. It was wonderful to talk to you.
Thank you to everybody who was listening.
Yes, who are joining.
To my friends from India.
Yes, to everyone saying thank you. Thank you for the conversation, and also feel free to write your comments. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Let's see.